Secure your Elixir apps with Paraxial IO. From code analysis and bot defense to dependency checks, they've got you covered. Elixir first design with GitHub integration. Elevate your security at paraxial.io.
Hey, I'm Kimberly with Elixir Mentor. Jacob recently added recruitment services to help companies hire pre-vetted Elixir devs. I help with company outreach, so if you're hiring, I may be reaching out, or you can connect with us anytime at elixirmentor.com.
Testing. What's up? I'm Jacob Litzo, your Elixir Mentor, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Elixir Mentor podcast. This is where we discuss everything related to Elixir, from interviews with enthusiasts, pioneers in the community, to innovative projects and libraries shaping Elixir's future. Today, I'm joined by George, creator of Learn Phoenix Live View. He also went through the Gauntlet AI Fellowship and came out rethinking how he builds software. George, it's awesome having you today. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, yeah, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
I hear like a weird like rubbing noise every once in a while. I don't know if your mic is on a desk or
I mean
sorry. I should have paid attention before we went live.
Yeah, I mean,
it should be fine.
Is it a problem, or are we good to go?
We're good. I don't hear it right now.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I had the awesome, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. I got to meet George down in Austin at XMEX, and that was a lot of fun. That was a good conference. Hopefully you weren't one of the people that got sick, because I feel like a handful of people all got sick after Friday.
No, not me.
Yeah, neither did I. Hear about that. Yeah. So you made it through. That's good. You want to just give people a brief background of like who you are, where you came from, and kind of like where you are today?
Yeah, sure. So my name is George Millo. I am best known in the Elixir community for, like you mentioned, some courses that I've created, teaching Elixir and Phoenix. I used to do all of that under a pseudonym, a pen name. That name was George Arrowsmith. I decided about 6 months ago I was going to drop the pretense, just start putting my real name and face out there. But you know, some of your audience may still know me better by that fake name. Yeah, so I have been a professional software engineer since 2013, so 13 years now. Unlucky for some. My background, I got into Elixir through what I think is pretty common in the Elixir world. I was a Ruby on Rails developer for quite some time. Back at the very beginning, I was using PHP. I got out of that as soon as I could. Yeah, I worked with Rails for about 4 or 5 years, got sick of it. Not to knock on Rails, but yeah, you know, after just working with it for a long time, it was time for something new. And there's a lot of cross-pollination between the Ruby and Elixir communities, as I'm sure everyone watching this knows. Played around with Elixir and Phoenix, loved it. Phoenix is a fantastic piece of technology. I feel like it just took everything that was great about Rails, everything that Rails did well, and it shedded all the things that maybe Rails didn't do so well, innovated great. I got into the course business partly just out of frustration from, you know, when I was starting and trying to learn, there was a steep learning curve. People say that Elixir is like Ruby. It's really not. The similarities are very superficial. If you've never done functional programming before, which I hadn't, yeah, there's a lot of things you've got to unlearn, and the materials that I could find to teach myself, Elixir and Phoenix, I don't know, they just weren't very good in my opinion, at least not the ones that I could find. So really, I just ended up, I mean, it was back in the COVID lockdowns, I had a lot of free time, as we all did. Yeah, I just started creating the courses that I wish that I had when I was getting started. And yeah, they seem to have been pretty well received. It's never been my main gig. It's just been an evenings and weekends kind of thing. But yeah, I've enjoyed doing it, and good things have come to me from it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like you and I had the same frustrations, like, because that's how I felt when I was learning Elixir. I was like, there's just like not good learning material, and that's what sprung my YouTube channel, and just making tutorials at first, and then evolved, and now as a podcast as well.
Yeah, like when I got into Elixir, I'd never even heard of OTP or the Beam or all these cool things that are somewhat unique to Elixir, or at least if you're coming from something like Ruby or JavaScript, it's miles beyond like
Yeah.
what you may have encountered in those. I mean, it took me a while to even like realize those things were there. You don't need to learn it up front. But yeah, like I remember the first thing I was ever doing with Elixir, just to play around with it, I was doing some sort of like hacker rank problems, that kind of thing. Exorcism, if you know that site.
Just
And
like
yeah,
just writing
yeah,
code, not actually using all the magic of the beam.
yeah. I remember it was very confusing at first because Elixir's immutable, and you don't have while loops. There's a lot of like things which are really quite simple algorithmic puzzles where like just the way that I would have done that coming from Ruby, the obvious way was not available to me. It might be like, oh, okay, it's really obvious how to solve this. I would just like initialize a variable and then I would iterate in a while loop and like change that variable. Oh, wait, what? I can't do that? Yeah, but once you get used to the way Elixir does things like the pipe operator, oh, I miss that so much in other languages. It's just such a beautiful way to structure code. Pattern matching. Other languages have got pattern matching, but I've yet to use a language that does it as well as Elixir does. There's just so many little niceties in the syntax. Yeah, it's a beautiful language. I love working with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was the same way. I started just writing a simple like REST API project when I learned Elixir. And I knew on paper Elixir could do everything that I wanted for like, distribution and fault tolerance, but I didn't actually know what it meant yet. And I was just writing code. And I struggled with immutability, the idea of just transforming things, because I came from object oriented. It was hard on my brain. And then when it finally clicked, I was like, I wish I learned an immutable functional language first before object oriented programming, because I think that would have made me like grasp programming faster.
Yeah, that could be the case. Yeah. I mean, now that I've seen things on the other side, it's made me think, I think maybe OOP is a bit overrated. When you first learn it, it kind of makes sense. They teach you these sort of contrived examples to teach you inheritance. Like, oh yeah, a car inherits from a vehicle, which inherits from this and that. But then, when you actually start, when you actually start building real things, like, so many of the classes that you end up making, it's not like real world objects that correspond to something concrete where there's it's more obvious hierarchy. Like, it just rarely works out as smoothly as it does in these sort of tutorial examples.
I also think it's really easy to like abstract away too much, and then you just complicate your code base for anyone that's not familiar with it. I don't know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then just the magic statefulness of things. You can just pass objects around and change them in multiple places. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I worked with Ruby for a long time. There's a lot of things I like about Ruby. I think it's a beautiful language. It just reads very well. But like, there's a lot of things when you start learning Ruby, you're like, oh, this is really cool. Like, I can do all these things super succinctly. But then like, once you've actually worked with them for a while on bigger projects, you find that this flexibility, the fact that like everything is an object and everything can mutate and everything's got a zillion methods defined on it and whatnot. That flexibility just comes back to bite you. Like something will not be the type that you think it is. You'll get the like no method error on nil class, and you just end up having to do these deep dives through your stack trying to trace a variable all the way through, figuring out why it's changed. You can get these very obscure errors that are hard to debug because anything can change at any point. So yeah, that's the beauty of immutability. Just everything there is right in front of you, which I think helps with the AI as well. The meaning of your code
just like separated processes, right? Everything is kind of its own state. You don't have to worry about keeping things synced.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm curious to hear about what this Gauntlet AI thing is. What can you tell us about it, and like what put it on your radar and what made you want to do it?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, when did ChatGPT come out? Was that like late 2022? I think.
That
was when
AI. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that was when AI. I mean, obviously, everyone. The concept of AI has been around for as long as I can remember. But yeah, it was really ChatGPT, sort of the iPhone of AI. It just brought us into this new paradigm. And pretty much immediately when that came out, there was a lot of talk about using AI to write code. People saying, "Oh yeah, this is going to write all the code for us. It's going to replace us." But I think like a lot of people, especially in those early days, we're all trying to figure it out, right? Like by now, if you're a software engineer and you're not at least trying to use AI in your code, like you're very, very behind. But 2 years ago, I saw
Careful,
people
you're
claiming
gonna
that.
get a hate comment for saying that. I had Dave from TV Labs on, and he was basically telling people if they're not using it in their daily workflows, they're falling behind. And oh man, we got some angry comments on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely get into that. There's a ton of disagreement about
Uh-huh.
exactly where this is going and how much you should be using it, which is it's still very early, But I think like I would probably have said that 2 years ago because I mean the technology just wasn't great for a long time. I tried GitHub Copilot. I think that was a lot of people's first
I
experience.
was against it. So like it was so
Yeah,
crappy back when it was first, like even like I would just say within the last year it's gotten cool. It's gotten good, right?
yeah.
And before then it just kind of slowed me down. I just thought it gave me more slop than it was worth, and I was better off just rubber ducking with it, but not actually letting it write code.
Yeah, I think the experience that like a lot of us more experienced guys have is that we've been doing this for so long. We've just got our ways of working, our habits. We're very comfortable. We're good at it, right? Just because we've had so much practice and like getting into that AI driven paradigm, it's just so different. And yeah, like no matter how smart you are, it's going to slow you down at first because you just have to shed a lot of old habits and learn new ways
Mm-hmm.
of working. And yeah, like that. I mean, especially especially back when the models weren't nearly as good as they are now. It's easy to see. I certainly had that resistance, but at the same time, there was just so much hype, and it was clear it still is clear what direction everything is going in. I was just thinking, man, I got to figure this out. And yeah, so about a year ago, everyone on Twitter who I followed was just talking about this new program that was going on, bootcamp type thing, Gauntlet AI. Gauntlet is so just to be clear, I'm not like I don't run Gauntlet. I'm not affiliated with it. Like it's not my business. I was just a participant. But Gauntlet is a intensive 10-week training program in building software with AI. Yeah, very intensive. Really almost every waking minute is not an exaggeration, but yeah, just a series of projects, challenges, deadlines. Everybody gets together, and the goal is just, let's go absolutely all in on LLM maximalism. We're going to be building as much as we can, as fast as we can, just throwing caution to the wind with AI. AI's got to build everything. Let's just see what's possible. Let's see what we learn. Yeah, totally free program, all expenses paid. I mean, fundamentally, it's a recruitment platform. You make it to the end, and they've got a bunch of hiring partners lined up who they'll get you some interviews with. So that's how it's funded. And yeah, it was one of those things. It just came along at the right time for me. I been doing a bunch of freelance work. I just finished a freelance contract actually. So just trying to figure out what to do next. And yeah, I definitely had my doubts about this Gauntlet thing. It sounded a bit too good to be true, to be honest. But I was part of the second cohort. Everyone was talking about it. I just DM'd some people who were doing the first cohort on Twitter, just to ask them about it. Got on a call with a few of them. And yeah, everyone was like, "Yeah, you got to do it. It's great." So I thought, why not? I'll take a chance on this thing. And yeah, TLDR, it was great. Learned a lot. It was fantastic. I would highly recommend it.
That's awesome. So essentially you learned how to vibe code. Is that like a fair thing to say? Like you weren't writing code, you were leveraging it to actually vibe products that were written well or designed well at least.
Well, as well as we could make them given the time available. I mean, it was almost just like a series of hackathons,
Okay.
like it's the hackathon mentality. Here's the task, here's a week. I mean, most hackathons are not a week long, but Gauntlet, it's just a series of projects, a series of assignments. Hey, build this, see what you can produce. And yeah, like give me a cool demo at the end. So yeah, we're not necessarily going for like the most kind of robust, perfect production ready products that are going to like get out there and have huge amounts of users. It's more just about what cool thing can we build in a week that would make a good demo. Vibe coding, I hate that term, but we don't we don't seem to have settled on like what else to call it, agentic engineering perhaps, but
Yeah,
no,
I feel like
there's no term which is widely recognized.
we definitely need a better name for it, because I feel like I just saw a post the other day and I don't remember who did it now. Maybe it was the Primogen, but he was saying like the worst part about like the AI hype is everyone from the NFT and crypto world came over and are now vibe coders, and they're just annoying and being noisy in the space.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, my take is that whatever you want to call it, like, the technology is not perfect yet, and we're all still figuring this out. But there is no doubt in my mind that, like, eventually, everything is going to be written by AI in some capacity, and there'll be very little code written by hand. You've just got to compare the state of the technology now to even a year ago, 6 months ago, for that matter. When I started Gauntlet, I think Claude 3.7 had just come out, which was it's pretty good, definitely a lot better than the things before it, but it still required a lot of hand holding. It was very far from perfect. I think the real big shift, and you see this in the discourse as well, just when a lot of other people started to have this same realization, it was kind of Q3 to Q4 last year when Opus 4 came out, later Opus 4.5, and Codex started to get really good as well. That was when you really started to see serious people, and not so many slop slingers, people, even people like Andrej Karpathy, and people who've got very highly regarded programmers. That's even people like them starting to say, wow, this technology is good. It's getting very good at writing code.
Yeah. Curious how you feel. How do you feel about like writing less code and reviewing more and being more like the overseer than actually like a software developer from, what we're used to, writing code, hacking things out, building? Do you feel like they're like, I like have my ups and downs with it. Sometimes I'm like stoked about it because I can like do so much more as a single developer, but I'd also like part of me like misses the old way of doing things too.
You know what? I thought I would miss writing code, and I did it for so long. But I honestly don't miss the old way at all. I can't imagine going back. I wonder. It makes me think about like what was it that I liked about writing code? It wasn't just the typing and the cranking out syntax. It was the thinking and the solving problems and the learning. And I've never learned so much so fast as now. When I mean, AI, first of all, it's just a fantastic research tool. When there's something I'm stuck on, in the olden days, I might spend a long time reading through a lot of very tedious and confusing documentation. Googling my error messages and getting stuck. So much time. It's funny looking back, like how much time we used to spend just how much time was waste. You'd have a bug, you'd get stuck on a problem, and you could spend days just tediously trawling through Stack Overflow and not quite getting the answer you wanted.
Do you look at it as waste though, or do you look at it as like those hard moments that really made you learn something new?
Some of it was definitely waste. I mean, you do learn stuff. Yeah, that is how you learn. You learn by encountering problems and things you don't know how to solve, and then learning how to solve them. But nowadays, it happens all the time. I'll get stuck on a bug or whatever, and I'll ask the AI, "What's going on here? Explain it to me," and it'll just give me the answer like that. Whereas, it'll take me 5 minutes, and I've learned it. Whereas in the past, I might have spent the whole day just trying to solve it, and reading a lot of stuff that didn't help before.
Yeah.
The rate of learning, it's
How do
exponentially
you
increased.
how do you force yourself to pay attention and keep learning versus going brain dead and just trusting an LLM more than you should? Like, what's your trick there? Because I feel like I've talked to a lot of people that just they feel like they're slipping with, this they're solving part of their brain, and I still feel like I am pretty good at, like, because you see code written, you know whether it's well written or not. You can make adjustments, blah blah blah. But like the overall architecture, how do you make sure you're like involved in actually thinking through problems?
Yeah, I mean, it can be a challenge. I mean, my biggest challenge is just like when you're working with AI, you spend a lot of time waiting for the AI to complete, and there's a ton of context switching. I'll usually have multiple tabs open and be working on more than one thing at once, just because otherwise, like, what else am I going to do? I might set something running and it's going to take 15 minutes to get back to me. But I don't know. I feel like the way that I work with AI is I don't necessarily read everything that it's producing, or at least not like super attentively. I might give it a skim, but that doesn't mean that I don't understand what it's producing or that I'm not paying attention. If I've got a task that I want to solve, Peter Steinberger, the creator of OpenClaw, he's written some blog posts about like how he works with AI, and I like what he has to say, because I think it's pretty similar to the way I work. If there's a task I want to work on, I will spend a long time planning and like just trying to get it into my head exactly what it is that we're going to do. I'll start by, I tend to alternate between Codex and Claude Code. Those are my main drivers now. But I'll ask the LLM. I'll start by just trying to understand the code, right? Like, I have some understanding already because I've already been working on it, right? But it might be a big code base, don't necessarily understand everything. So I'll spend a long time saying, here's what I want to build. Help me flesh out this idea. What am I not seeing? What are the edge cases? And then, remind me exactly what does the existing code do? Where everything's located? What's the architecture? Just having that kind of conversation with it. I find the most important thing the most important thing to me when working with AI with code, it's just understanding. Like, the better your understanding of like exactly what it is that you want to build, and exactly like how it all works, how it fits together, what you're going to change and where. Like my job, as I see it, is to just like work with the AI until we both have a shared mutual understanding, a high level understanding of what it is that we're going to build, and then once I'm confident that like I understand what needs to be built, and that the LLM shares my understanding, I let it rip and I get great results. So yeah, I feel like I'm still staying on top of what the code does and where everything is. Bad things happen, and like, the NFT bros who are vibe coding. I had a great time recently with verification debt. We used to talk about technical debt, which is certainly still a thing. But the danger now with AI is cognitive debt and verification debt is that because you're not typing everything out, and so not every line of code necessarily goes through your brain, a gap can grow between what the code does and your understanding of what it does and your understanding of how well it works. And like the sloppy approach where you're just kind of firing things out without taking a lot of time to plan and really understand what it's building, like that's just a recipe for disaster. But that's what happens when you go too fast.
Yeah, I get that. I definitely think the planning is important, and I've started to see a lot in the aspect of like spec-driven development. And I don't know, like, are you familiar with that term at all?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the idea. This is when you I mean, it's kind of TDD kind of thing. You'd start with
Right.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think I mean that's one way that you solve that verification problem. Yeah, I mean, vibe coding tests, I think, is a particularly bad idea. Well, I'm not well, if we're talking about vibe coding in the like very vibey sense, where you're not actually paying close attention to what the tests do.
Yeah. Well, I think
AI loves to do things like
just make them pass, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you tell it to write the tests first, it'll write tests that do, at a glance, they look like they work, but then you actually read it and it says, it'll set it all up, but then we just do assert true or something.
Right,
So like,
right.
it doesn't actually test anything. So that's when you've really got to make sure that like it's doing what you think it's doing. But yeah, that's another big aspect of working with AI. It's constraints. It's because AI moves so fast and it can be very hard to keep up mentally with what it's doing. Part of the skill of working with it is just like setting up your workflow and your harnesses, your methodology in such a way that like you can be reasonably confident that even if the AI is getting a bit ahead of where you are mentally, like there are just things keeping it on the rails, things keeping it in track. And yeah, like things like just having a good test suite and making sure that the tests are good and avoiding those situations where the AI is kind of taking shortcuts and hacking its way around the test. That's one way to stay on the rails.
Can you walk us through like a typical like workflow for you? Like if you're adding a feature to existing code base, how do you use AI to even begin the feature, plan the feature, and then eventually implement the feature? What do you...
Yeah, I mean, I think I just described my workflow really. I don't use a huge amount of like, a lot of people talk about these super complicated setups they've got with like, a product manager agent and a code reviewer agent and a senior engineer agent.
All
and
these
I
different
don't know,
skills and
yeah. I don't know. I see a lot of people who've got very, very impressive markdown collections, but I don't know. A lot of those people can't really point to, I'm not really sure what they've actually built. Yeah, like I said, it's about understanding. You don't need a product manager agent. You need to have a sense of what you need to have product sense, right? Otherwise,
I feel like you need to be the
yeah.
product manager. Like it's your project, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I do everything in the terminal. I'll fire up Codex. I mean, it varies so much depending on what it is that I want to build. But I'll just start by I'll spend a long time really kind of going over everything and fleshing everything out and getting the details into my head before I start to try and write before I actually tell it to actually make any changes.
I'm curious, like, do you like, will you plan like a really large feature and let AI kind of take it, or do you break it down into small steps and approach a huge feature like kind of implementation function at a time kind of thing?
I think the limiting factor for me, the unit of work that I like try to not exceed, it's just like how much can I juggle in my head at once, right? And that's not just in terms of like what are we working on with the AI. It's like if I'm going to open a PR or if I want to get this merged into main, what's like a self-contained unit of work that could theoretically be deployed, even if it doesn't have like every last little thing that we want it to be fully production ready, but can we at least get it merged? Because the more you just let that grow, the more that is like still needing review and final review and approval, the more that I just can't keep that in my head. I forget what I can't verify at all. But yeah, I'll take a similar approach with AI. I'll talk to Codex. We'll try and figure out. I'll try and flesh out the plan. But if I feel like it's getting a bit too big, even if I might even ask Codex. What's the first thing we can build? What is something that's nice and self-contained here? If it's something super big and I think I'm going to have to. It's just more than I can juggle. That's when I'll start to do things like, let's write a plan. Let's write a file with the full plan. Write a checklist. I don't. Some people I work with like to do that for much smaller tasks and just like keep everything much more documented from the beginning. I find it's not really worth it. I don't like to do that unless I feel like we're actually just past a certain level of complexity and size. If it's something that I can kind of do in one chat, self-contained, then I feel like the code itself is the checklist. It's just creating that markdown file. It's just another file to juggle, and it just gets messy. But
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I do think a lot of people will overcomplicate their whole like AI workflow, and I'm not sure why. And maybe it's like they want to just have something so complicated that other people might not understand it, and then they just think it works better. But I'm kind of in your boat. I'll plan things, but I also don't ever want to push code that's more than, a couple modules changed, because I don't want to review a PR that it's like 50 modules that I have to review. I want a handful of changes that are easy to read and look at.
Yeah, exactly. I think something I'm thinking more and more, like just having, yeah, I mean, I've been on this journey for a year now. I've spent a huge amount of time working with AI and like really learning how, really trying to get the most out of it. But the further I get into it, it certainly is a skill in itself. Like, you've got to learn how to use AI. You've got to learn how the tools work. You've got to try different things, understand what models are good at, what they're bad at. But nothing can replace like all the skills that we used to need before AI, just understanding architecture, understanding clean code, understanding security, and just every little thing that goes into making a good an app that not only works and is secure and meets the business requirements, but just like it is maintainable, all the things we care about as developers, something that we can just keep on working with smoothly. Like those skills have not changed, which is why I think that there's a lot of worry at the moment. I was certainly worried for a while that AI was going to take all of our jobs. It might take some jobs. I mean, no one really knows what the future holds, but like for now, at least, as I see it, I think senior engineers and people who've got that, people who just have a very deep technical understanding and are just good coders. Those are the people who make the best AI-driven developers. Yeah, like if you're not so experienced, if you're a junior engineer, like there's a lot of like you can add negative value, definitely. Especially because AI moves so when you're working with AI, you move so fast, right? So like bad decisions compound very quickly. If you
Yes, I
choose the
do.
wrong, if you're building with the wrong technology, if you make a poor architectural choice, then it might, in the past, it might be months until that really becomes a problem because it just takes so long to build anything. But now with AI, you're moving so much faster that those bad decisions that you make early can come back to bite you much sooner. So yeah, that's when that that understanding that really only comes with experience and just having worked on big problems and seen the same things over and over again and just understanding how things go wrong, that's where it's really valuable. I'm not sure. I do wonder, I don't know what it's like to be a junior developer working with AI coming into all of this now.
I was gonna
Yeah.
I have a concern. Not I kind of feel bad for a junior because I don't know how they're going to get their foot in the door and like get trained and become senior, because there's so much. Like, I'm overwhelmed with AI, right? Because it helps me so much, but it's also made me have to understand so many things I don't think I would have had to learn without AI. Like, now I have to be very capable of understanding my DevOps deployment, like all this stuff, like security, like you were saying. It's kind of just opened the door and made our responsibility larger. And we're just like now an orchestrator of all these subtasks underneath us, but we're still having to understand how everything works together.
Yeah, I have heard people saying, I think former guests on your podcast, I've heard talk about this. Yeah, it's a brutal market at the moment for junior
Hmm.
engineers because AI has made senior engineers so much more powerful that there's just less need to hire juniors anymore. But yeah, that's not a sustainable strategy, right? And because seniors are going to get old and retire, and someone's got to come up from beneath them. I mean, I don't know. like I guess the advantage if you're a junior now is like it has never been easier to learn really, really fast. Like I said earlier, AI is just the most powerful research and learning tool in the history of man. And
Hmm.
yeah, I know it doesn't always get everything right and it gives you wrong answers sometimes, blah, blah, blah. But like the speed up that you get, the ease of research, the way that you can just ask such specific questions and get clarification on every little thing you're unsure about, do just deep research, search the whole internet, and get back detailed reports on obscure things. Like I'm jealous of juniors.
Yeah.
In
I
that
would
way.
say, like, as long as you're not being lazy as a junior and you're willing to put in the time and learn and like actually ask AI, like, hey, if there's a piece of code you don't understand, have it explain it to you. Like, that's the coolest thing ever, right? If you're ever in like a complicated module and you're like, what is going on here? You now have a tool that can like track everything a function is doing and explain it to you
Oh,
fully.
absolutely. Yeah. I think the one characteristic that everybody needs, but juniors especially, it's just curiosity. You you need to be inquisitive. You need to always be asking like why does it work that way? What's best practice? Is this a good idea? What are my options? You were talking about just then about how like we're taking on so many more responsibilities and we're doing broader things as seniors. I saw it really. It was one of the big AI labs. They were tweeting. I can't remember who. It might have been OpenAI. Something about their hiring, and they made a really interesting point. They said that they're finding that their developers are bifurcating. Like the people who are crushing it, they're going one of two ways, right? Like people are either becoming like hyper-generalists, people who are just like great coders with great product sense, great design sense. They're doing DevOps. They're just handling everything they can. Or you've got people who are like hyper specialists. So but maybe the specialisms that aren't necessarily about engineering. It's about like that interface, that overlap between like technical skills and then the things that are like more specific to your business and the industry that you're in. Just having that really deep knowledge. That matches my experience. I think AI makes it really easy. Well, I don't know if I would say easy, but it makes it easier to be a generalist.
I agree.
You think
And I
about
feel like
these splits that.
I was going to say, I think AI has made me more of a generalist, but it's kind of fits my personality. I like to build things that solve problems that I have. And it allowed me, so I built Kill Switch, which is like an encrypted document store, but it has dead man switch capabilities. So like if I stop checking in, I can have my encrypted documents get sent to, my loved ones or people that I want to have access to them. And like as far as like product, like UI design and everything, like I would not have got a clean product without LLMs helping me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's when that's one of the most amazing things with working with LLMs. It's just like sometimes I want to step into something totally new, like that. I recently made a desktop app, there was just something we had on my team where we had a web version, and we to cut a long story short, we were like, maybe we could bundle this up into a desktop thing, Electron, which I'd never worked with before, and I'm sure I could have figured it out anyway. But like, just stepping into that. I've done this with mobile apps as well. I have very little experience with mobile apps. I've always been a full stack web developer, but just like diving into that totally new domain and getting something up super fast. It's not as good as a super experienced mobile developer would have made, but how far was I able to get in a day where, previously I might have spent the whole day just figuring out how.
Electron is cool. Like the fact that you can just like bundle a JavaScript app up or a web app essentially, right? And now you have a native app.
Yeah. It's very cool. There was something I was going to say. The generalist thing, again, I think it just comes back to curiosity. I just like learning, I like understanding. I want to understand as much as I can about what it is we're doing. That could be the code itself. It could be things like, I don't know, we're hosting on AWS. I want to actually get a really good understanding of all these different things in our infrastructure. How do they work? How do I work with them? Because these are the things that make you work better with AI as well. The secret to writing a good prompt and getting what you want out of AI, it's being specific. Don't say make me an app. Say make me a Phoenix. Make me a Phoenix app where here are the ecto schemas. They're connected with these foreign keys. Watch out for race conditions, or I don't know. Like you got to know the jargon. You got to know what it is, like the deeper your understanding, this is why I'm learning so much, because
If
the things that I understand, when I understand the domain well and I know exactly what it is that I want to build, it's just so easy to work with AI,
I
because
feel like
I can type out.
if you don't talk to an LLM like a software engineer, you're not going to get the same output. You know what I mean? Like if you're
Yeah,
not using the
absolutely.
right terminology, then the right things, like, yeah, just like, hey, build me a to-do list app. Like it's going to just blindly, it'll probably build you something, but you're not picking the tech stack. You're not picking any architectural decisions. You're not creating your schemas. Like you're leaving a lot out there to just drift in the wrong direction, right?
Yeah, the reason I'm learning so much so fast is that like almost all my time now is spent on the things that I don't understand, because the things that I already understand well, I just crank out a great prompt that's very specific, and I'm just telling the AI exactly what to do, and yeah, there's no ambiguities, which just rolls through it and does it. And yeah, it's the things that I'm not so sure of, things I haven't worked with before, maybe aspects of our own code base that I'm just not so familiar with, or maybe I've forgotten the specifics. I'm spending most of my time just interrogating that, asking Codex how it works, where do things go. I think non-technical PMs, I think they've got to be a lot more afraid for their jobs right now than engineers have. I think
Agreed. Yeah.
yeah, and a lot of non-technical roles actually. I think even if we're not writing code anymore, like just
We still have to know how to
people
read
who,
it and
yeah,
understand it, you know?
yeah. Well, even if you're not reading code, just understanding tech, understanding computers, like
Like how things
how does
work, right?
yeah, how things work, right? Like the
Yeah.
best PMs to work with, the best recruiters to work with, the best people in those kind of roles, which are software adjacent, they're the ones who actually understand what it all does, even if it's not their like core day-to-day responsibility to like work with it directly. People who you can communicate with effectively because you speak the same language. So yeah, and part of the reason we've had this split between technical and non-technical people is just like it's just a bandwidth thing. There's a lot of work that needs to be done where if you're going to take the time to like learn to code and like get deep into the tech, then you're not going to have the time to do all those other non-technical jobs that need doing. But like now more of the non-technical stuff is being done by AI. More of the technical stuff is being sped up by AI, or like actually made a lot easier. It's easier to learn. So those pressures just aren't there so much anymore. I think that blurring, it's already happening. It's like I said, people are going to become generalists. You got to become a generalist.
Yeah. We got a couple comments from Bry J. Bry. He says, "Hey, George, I don't know."
Right.
And he said the ability to learn is incredible if you have a sense of what the real learning is. And I think that's just like asking AI the right questions, right? As you're building things.
Yeah.
If we
Was that
stopped
Brian
all,
Bryce?
it might be.
Yeah. Hi, Brian, if that's you. Yeah, sorry, we used to work together.
Oh, awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
And then he said that if we stopped all AI progress right now, it would take us years to realize the benefits just to education alone. He said, yeah, Brian Bryce. So
Yeah. Great to hear from
awesome.
you. Yeah, I'm actually working in edtech now, so that's like, it's not just programming education. And yeah, coding is certainly not the only thing where that I use AI to learn about. I mean, it's amazing. I wish that it is. Yeah, I just imagine if this had existed when I was in school. I think I don't know. A lot of people are certainly. I'm not really sure how the education sector is going to cope, because I'm sure there is rampant cheating going on
Oh
now. And yeah,
yeah,
if
dude,
you
I would have been in so much trouble. I'm actually glad social media and AI did not exist when I was in school, because I would have gotten in so much trouble.
Oh, social media certainly existed when I was in school, and that one definitely did get me. That one definitely did get me in trouble. But yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have Facebook until, 2 years into college, so I got a little saved there.
Yeah, I was part of that first generation where social media was like just becoming a big thing when I was a teenager and in school.
Okay. Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be hard. I'm like really grateful that didn't happen, because there would have been
yeah.
some drinking parties on there and it would have been bad.
it was a strange transitional period. This stuff existed and all the kids were on it, but it was still just a young person thing. And I mean, mostly, it was weird if your parents were on Facebook. You didn't want them on there. That was embarrassing.
Dude, that's when Facebook went downhill, is when all the parents joined. Like, it was cool and it was just college kids, and then they opened it up to the world, and you're like, well, now Facebook's kind of lame.
Yeah, man, I've got a 1-year-old, and I'm excited for him in many ways growing up in this new AI world, but at the same time, like, there's a lot of ways it could go wrong. It's God knows. I think in the right hands, it's an extremely powerful tool, and can bring all kinds of benefits to programmers, to kids in school, to I mean, all over the shop. But it's not hard to imagine ways it can go wrong, and we're already seeing that in some respects. But I mean, none of us know where this is going, really. I just feel like we were talking about whether or not programmers are going to be unemployed. Like, I don't know if AI is going to replace us, but I am 100% certain that like, if anyone does get replaced, it's going to be the people who are late, or who are skeptical, or who or even people who are technical. I just feel
but refuse to integrate with it a little bit.
Like,
dude, it's insane.
It's coming for you whether you like it or not.
Like, so I agree with you 100%, but it is crazy. Like, the holdouts, how angry they get when you make those comments. Like, dude, I don't know. I think it's better to enter this being as optimistic as possible. Like, none of us know where it's going, but I do always think there's going to be a technical fit for everyone that knows how things work. Like, you might not need a team of 20 engineers anymore, but at least you'll have a team of maybe 5 really smart guys that all work together. And then I think we'll just have more and more companies springing up that can be more and more useful solutions to problems that we have.
Yeah, when you and I met at XMEX, what was that, December? I remember there was a speaker who asked at some point, how many of you do not use AI at all to write code? And maybe like 10 to 15% of the audience put their hands up, which, it's a minority. But I mean, first of all, this isn't a random sample of developers. It's developers who have the inclination to attend conferences. So I feel like that's a select crowd there. But like, I just thought, really, you're not using it at all? Like, I can understand if you're not, you don't want to be a maximalist, but no, that's certainly not where I am.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's wild. I mean, I also have buddies that are just like insanely into AI and, running agents upon agents, and like they can barely keep track of what work is being done. And I'm not there because I feel like I only can fit so much in my brain, and I don't want to be running all these different instances of, a Claude agent building me all these things that like I can't like keep up with. It overwhelms me. And maybe, I don't know, maybe that's a bad thing that I have to get over. I have to like let go of some control. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't write anything by hand anymore. I
rarely do. I do, but not often.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. AI is a great code reviewer, not just a great code writer. Really, just the limiting factor is the bottleneck is my own brain. Like, I just try really hard to just not let it run off ahead of me and build things where I don't have where I don't have to be intimately familiar with every last little line. But as soon as that gap starts to open up between just my mental map of the code and what it does and where everything sits and like how, so I am not in that stage either. Like I am working all day with AI, with Claude Code, Codex open in multiple tabs at once, and having a lot of things run. But that more complicated kind of pipeline where you're like, you've got some big elaborate setup where different agents with different specialties, maybe we'll get there eventually, but I don't know. I feel like that just runs too far ahead of me, and I don't trust it yet.
Me too.
But
I just imagine like these like vibe coder agent orchestrator guys just gonna be like on a spin board like a DJ soon, just like, you know, doing the thing. Just blasting through tasks and using what I don't even know what do you call like the DJ where you have the spin board in front of you? Is that what it's called? I don't know.
the spin board, what, like
Like a DJ, like who's mixing music, like
isn't that just a DJ?
yeah, but what do you call like the actual like the record part that spins? Does that have a name? I don't even know.
I don't know.
But I just imagine our keyboards changing to something like that, right? For like swiping between tasks and agents and stuff faster, and approve instead of having a full keyboard.
Yeah, this is something I've been thinking about because you know, like I said,
turntable. That's what it's called. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah. You know, I feel like sometimes I feel like just like the way that I am interfacing with my AI is definitely suboptimal in that, like, I might have multiple things running in different tabs, but like I have to keep checking, you know, I'll cycle through my tabs. I'll see, is this one done yet? It's still a very much kind of pull process. And maybe that's just because there's the supposed quote from Henry Ford, of Ford Motor, who said, you know, if I'd given people what they wanted, people would have wanted, didn't want a car,
a faster horse, right?
Yeah. It still feels like that a bit with a lot of the ways that we're working with AI. Like we're taking all these paradigms that already existed, and then we're just kind of shoehorning AI into them. I'm working with the terminal in tabs, which is what I was doing before AI. But I don't know. I feel like it would almost make more sense to have some like totally new interface where, you know, if I was more of a technical PM, which I think is what we're becoming, you know, like AI needs to report to me in some way, like rather than me having to go back to the tab and see like, you know, is this thing done yet? You know, why can't I have some kind of interface where I set one thing off? I mean, an inbox, really. It's like, okay, this AI is done. It's come in. Here's the report. Here's some stuff to jog my memory about what exactly was in that conversation, and I don't know, send that one back off. Like, I'm in a more sort of, yeah, I'm more of an executive. You know, just the reports are coming to me with you know, communicating as well as they can, and I send them off on their way again. I think it's also kind of weird in my mind a bit that like there's no new programming language, right? Like we're still just using all these same programming languages that existed anyway. Like what? Like is there not a sort of like AI optimal programming language? Maybe someone's working on that. I don't know, but
I thought it was just Markdown files.
Maybe. I don't know. I think in the long run, I think eventually there's just going to be new things. There are going to be some visionaries and some people who just come up with very smart, very innovative ways that you know, once it gets there, we'll think like, how did we have? It's going to look so obvious in retrospect. It's like, you know, it's like, you know, they say
Brian said Elixir is the AI optimal programming language.
Yeah, certainly, Elixir is optimal for a lot of things. I'll tell you what gives me confidence in Elixir. I think just Elixir has got some fantastic brains behind it, man. Like Jose, Chris McCord, they have just.
Dude,
I think they are
got smart
visionaries.
guys.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, even little things, you know. It's like now when you generate a new Phoenix app, it comes with an agent's MD file, which is pretty obvious, right? Like, why would you not want an agent's MD file? But as far as I'm aware, none of the other like competitor frameworks do that yet. And I think it's good to see people thinking about this because
yeah.
I
think it's cool to see. It's cool to see like Jose and like Chris being so like forward thinking with AI instead of pushing back on it. Because like, yeah, seeing like Tidewave's amazing. I don't know if you've used like the browser version of it,
I've
but
played around with it. Yeah.
I freaking love it. It does almost all my UI, like my live view programming. And like, cause I'm not a front end dev. So like, that's like my restriction. I'm very slow. Like I can do front end dev, but I'm very slow. But like now, like I can just click on components, like tell it what I want to do. And like Tidewave does it. It's amazing.
Yeah, a big part of figuring out how to work with AI effectively, it's closing the loop. In the perfect world, I would just be able to one-shot everything. I would send the AI off on its way, and it would come back with everything totally done. But every time that the AI comes back to me and it needs a response from me, I need to do something manually, give it a screenshot, connect it to something, paste some text in, answer its question or whatever. Like every time that it needs to pause and have me in the loop, that's something that I want to optimize away.
Right. We're
I
the
think that's
bottleneck at that point.
yeah, yeah. That's and part of that is closing the loop. It's just
hmm
giving the AI the tools it needs so that it doesn't have to have my input. I feel like every time I copy and paste something, that to me is an indicator that things are not wired up as well as they could be. The AI should have some way to access the thing that I'm copying. And yeah, that Tidewave. I haven't used Tidewave a huge amount. I've only really played around with it, but I mean, it seems to me that's fundamentally the problem that Tidewave is trying to solve. It gives the model access to your UI in the browser, to your logs, to your database. It's just trying to connect as many things as possible, and that. Again, that clearly to me, that's the future. This is what we want to be doubling down on, like just solving those kind of problems, connecting those things. So it's great to see that Jose is like going all in on that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It is cool.
I'm sure he's going to do a great job of it because he's done a great job of everything else he's worked on. More power
Now
to
the
that
thing
man.
that like is gonna make me like I'm thinking about this now, like why isn't there a language being developed that is specifically for AI? It would just have to be more readable. Like I don't even know if it needs to be readable. I don't know. Like do we just go down to byte code?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, maybe in the future we won't even need a language of the human that
It
is
won't
meant for
matter,
humans.
right?
The
Yeah.
AI will just be writing the bytecode. But even if we get there, like I think there's still reasons to be bullish on Elixir. Even if we get to the point where AI is so good that like that no human would ever need to read the code, and therefore like the things that we like about Elixir's readability are just irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like I mean, first of all, like I already said, Elixir's got a great team behind it, and I think they're going to navigate these. If anyone's going to figure it out and navigate these choppy waters, I think it's going to be them. But also, first of all, you've got the beam, and the beam is just a fantastic piece of technology for so many reasons. It just gives you yeah, it just gives you things for free, and it makes them so easy that in another language, even if AI is writing it, there's just so much extra stuff you've got to wire together, and
Well,
it's just more complicated.
I think just like what you get with the actor model or like the supervision trees and processes and message passing, it fits perfectly with all the AI agent solutions that are trying to be solved.
Absolutely, yeah. I would love to see someone like try and build something like OpenClaw, or I don't know, like a Elixir clone. Maybe somebody's already done that, but I feel like Elixir would be a great language to try and build something like that in. Let's see what
Yeah.
happens there. Another great thing about Elixir is just the tooling. Like just things like Mix, where there's just so many things, or so many things that you just get really easily. There's standardization across projects. I mean, I work a lot with JavaScript at my day job, and many previous jobs. And I mean, in the web world, we're all stuck with JavaScript for probably for the foreseeable future. But it just frustrates me. There's just
Dude, I hate
uh,
JavaScript and I can't believe I
uh,
used to do it almost daily. I mean, I still write JavaScript quite a bit, like for browser side things that, you just can't really do, like things you don't want to run to the server for with a live view app. But Mix is amazing. And a little hack that I just learned, like just did you know that for mixed test, you can throw the flag on there slowest and get back the slow, like you can do like dash dash slowest 10 and it'll return the 10 slowest tests to you. I didn't know that till like a day ago.
Yeah, I think I have seen that. Yeah, exactly. It's great.
Which is wild. Like what? Like, cause I was trying to optimize like some CI stuff and we had slow running tests and that helped me find the slowest running tests. And then I could send Claude. I was like, all right, help me, fix the bottlenecks here. We want to speed these tests up, and it throws a couple ideas at me and I'm like, oh, that's a great solution.
Yeah, that's the great thing about Elixir, just this default tooling that's baked into the language. It's so there's so many like great nifty like kind of more less used niche little features like that, but also just the main stuff that you use all the time. It's just excellently designed. No one feels any need to make a competitor to try and do it better. That's a big problem with JavaScript. There's just so much churn, so much fragmentation. Every project does something different, does things differently. Mm-hmm. Dependency management in JavaScript is an absolute nightmare and drives me crazy. Dependency management in Elixir is a really good example of something that where I think it clearly took a lot of inspiration from Ruby dependency management in Ruby with Bundler and Gem. It's great, works really well, certainly works a lot better than JavaScript. And Elixir, if you know how to do it in Ruby, Elixir does things in a pretty similar way. Those are the kind of things where, like, even if AI is writing all of your code and you don't have to read anything, just like having that just great foundation of great tooling, just great ways to just set up the core of your app, the architecture, the dependencies, the environments. Environments are another great example. You work with Phoenix. Rails did it like this as well. But I don't know. I work on JavaScript projects where like it's just so much work to like set up a test environment or set up staging or
and we just have a config file. Like what?
yeah. I just say. I may have a bit of a reputation on. Sadly, I don't get to use much Elixir at my current gig. I may have a bit of a reputation on the team for the guy who won't shut up about Elixir. Hopefully, I can convince someone on the team to. We'll get there eventually. We've got a lot of projects and we're starting new ones. So
yeah, you got to bring the Elixir Kool-Aid and really push that down their throats.
Yeah, for sure. But things like environments, we do all this stuff with JavaScript where it's just such a pain, and I'm like, I mean. Not to keep banging on about Elixir, but like, you guys realize this is trivially easy, right? Like, why does it have to be so difficult? In Elixir, you get it for free.
Or to see like all these LLM companies too talking about recreating the Beam VM essentially in Erlang, and like, guys, all the solutions you're trying to rebuild already exist since 1986.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's the classic quote from Joe Armstrong, one of the creators of Erlang. I'm going to butcher it, but he said, every sufficiently complex system contains a buggy implementation of half of Erlang.
A buggy implement. Yeah, I love that. I have heard that one. It's good. It's true though. It's just like, guys, it's been around and it works. Yeah,
despite being like a big Elixir guy, I have never written a line of Erlang. Or maybe you have to kind of dive into it every now and then because there's just certain libraries in Elixir.
I've used Erlang libraries, but I haven't really written Erlang code.
Yeah, Erlang's got a weird syntax. I think it's based on Prolog, which I don't. Does anyone write anything in Prolog anymore? I
don't know. There's a couple guys in my Discord server that will write some Erlang, and like one of them, he was like sharing some AI generated code, and he's like, it can finally write Erlang, and he was like so impressed because I guess like just a few months ago it could barely do like a hello world app. And so here we are.
I do wonder, maybe one reason the Beam never really like blew up and became as big as it deserves to be is because Erlang's just weird. It's like if you're coming from C or Java or maybe these other languages that were more popular when Erlang was young, like Erlang's just not even the Beam, but
it lacked the modern syntax feel, right? Like of any modern programming language, and I think that's why people just didn't like it.
Yeah.
And then Elixir kind of solved that because Elixir is just fun. Like the syntax of Elixir made me fall in love with Elixir before all the other reasons. Like I enjoyed writing it before I understood the power of like a gen server or message passing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I said, when I first was getting into Elixir, I hadn't even heard of any of that. I got there in the end. But I mean, it's relatively rare for me to actually like need any of that stuff directly. But
Right.
when working with something like Phoenix, having worked with Phoenix for a while, I've written tutorials about it. Yeah, like once you understand OTP and you you can dig a bit more into like how Phoenix works under the hood. Or even things that are a little bit less under the hood, like things you'll actually use yourself, like PubSub.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you just see how the beam makes this so easy. The message passing format, yeah, it's great. It works so well.
Yeah. Well, and then just look how well like live view works too. That's an example of just using gen servers and things, right? Like so you're
Yeah,
leveraging all these things just using like the Phoenix library.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I always tell people because like I would say there's like a mix of people. Some people discover Elixir like I feel like you and I have very similar stories. Like I was just like writing the syntax. I heard it was cool, so I wanted to like check it out and see how I liked it. And then I got into the complicated stuff. When I ran into problems in my own projects, I was like, okay, it's time to learn what this OTP stuff is. And like, so like I slowly gravitated towards it. But then there's like the reverse, the exact opposite. People come for the shiny things. They hear about the gen servers and they want to write them right away. And I feel like
Yeah,
when you want to learn Elixir that way, you write a lot of you abuse gen servers. So because you try to make everything stateful, especially if you're coming from like an object oriented past, I think you abuse gen servers and kind of like overcreate things that you don't really need.
yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. I would never tell anybody who is new to Elixir to start with OTP and all of that. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's that's the last. You need to learn it eventually, but it's very low down the list of the
I
order at which
know.
you should learn things in.
I agree, but it's still like that shiny object that everyone wants to touch, right? Because it's so cool.
Yeah, I feel like the best introduction to OTP. I mean, I teach it like this in my courses. Don't start by like getting into the nitty gritty of precisely how gen servers and whatnot use. Like PubSub is a great example. Yeah, build something with Phoenix, build a web app. Like PubSub is a concept that is certainly not unique to Phoenix or to OTP, but don't start with by getting too deep into just these kind of esoteric underlying concepts. Let's build something real. Let's build something where you actually understand the value and you can see it being used. Hey, PubSub. So in one of my courses, I'll teach you to build a Slack clone. You send a message on Slack, and everybody else who is currently in that room needs to see that message appear immediately. That's the PubSub pattern right there. One person sends it, it gets fanned out to all the recipients. Let's use phoenix.pubsub, see how that works, and I'll explain to you what's actually going on here. We're sending messages from one process to the other. Now here's a good opportunity to talk about processes, OTP, gen
Mm-hmm.
servers. I mean, that's how I like to learn. I'm going to remember it and understand it a lot better if I'm learning it in the context of something that is actually like practical and real, and that I'm going to use.
Yes.
And it's not just the kind of theory. Got to make it stick
Right.
in my head with something
I
real.
always try to, like with my tutorials that I've made in the past, I've always tried to build something cool along the way. And as we touch on things, explain it enough to use it. Like you don't necessarily have to know the whole theory behind why it exists, right? Like you want to build something. And if you have to do the deeper dive, you'll get there eventually because you'll need to. Like when you have to understand something more, I feel like you naturally will go down that path.
Yeah, this is one of the things I enjoy about making courses and teaching. It's just an interesting challenge to take what I know, but put myself in the perspective of someone who doesn't, and just try and figure out what's the optimal order. How can I explain everything it's in a way, it's almost similar to programming in that I'm trying to determine the clearest possible instructions. Like, what's the flow that I'm going to send the reader through to come out at the end with like the optimal output. Uh, yeah, I mean, like you said, I like to do it. Yeah, it's just the interweaving of of theory and practice. It's like we're going to build something real, and I'm going to explain to you the minimum, or maybe close to the minimum of what you actually need to you're going to build it. You're going to see how it works. It's real, but we're also going to understand what we need to know now to
Yeah.
kind of
Well, I mean, if you
know what's
deep
really
dive
going
into
on.
theory on everything, every lesson that you teach would be multiple hours long. And it's just like, I'm so impatient, like me as a person, like I want to just build something and get it working. So that's what I try to do when I teach, is like, let's build something as quickly as we can and learn along the way, you know?
Yeah, I mean, certainly the act of nothing has helped me learn Phoenix better than creating tutorials and teaching people.
Yeah, dude,
That's me.
teaching, because you got to understand everything you're teaching, right? So you're like, oh gosh, I know how to use this, but do I know how to explain this?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've got to yeah, you've got to know it inside and out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. I definitely I I get a little burned out with making tutorials. I enjoy it, but I think like my post editing burns me out. And then I'm like, oh, and then I'll just take a few months off and not make tutorials. And
Yeah, I do enjoy it. It's rewarding in many ways, but it can definitely get tedious. Yeah, especially things like I don't know, when a new version of Phoenix comes out and I've got to go back and update everything. Got to be
yeah,
done. I owe that to my audience, but yeah,
I'm really bad at doing that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I probably don't do it as as speedy enough of a timeline, but yeah. I don't even know if I'm gonna. I I don't spend a huge amount of time on the core stuff these days. It's never been my full-time gig. I mean, it's gone pretty well. It's certainly gone more than well enough to justify, I think, the time that I spent I put into it. I've been doing it for about I mean, I said I started in the COVID lockdowns. That might not be true. I think I started playing around with some stuff, and then never really went anywhere. Took a couple of years, left it to the side for a couple of years, and then got back into it. But yeah, I mean, I've made decent money. Not enough to, yeah, I mean, not enough to replace a full-time software engineer's income. But the
Dude,
benefits,
selling
not just being,
courses is hard.
it's a tough business. But
I
the things, I think I said this to you at XMEX, I mean, I've made enough money that to be happy with it relative to the amount of time I put in. But also, the things that have come to me from it. It's not just financial. It's like opportunities have come to me. It's just putting my name out there, putting myself out there. Now I'm literally the guy who wrote the book, and I've got contracts out of that. I've got it's
yeah.
things have come to me indirectly through it. Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing. Like I tried to sell an introductory course for a long time, and I started to not enjoy it as much. So I ended up just publishing it on YouTube for free. But like to what you're saying is like my free content on YouTube and this podcast has given me like way more opportunities than like the financial monetization part. Cause one, it like allows me to talk to really awesome people. Like I've talked to all the cool people of the Elixir community on this podcast.
Yeah.
And that's pretty wild. And then like this has definitely gotten me my current job, and it's gotten me a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I'll make another course. Partly that's just because I'm super busy.
It's hard work. It's a lot of work.
Got a day job. I've got a family. But also, I mean, if I was to make another course, it would certainly have to be something AI related. And I am still really trying to figure out how does this work? How do we teach agentic engineering? I think like I said, it's not just about teaching people how to work with the AI itself. That's maybe only 20% of it. Like you've got to teach the understanding and actually knowing what you're building. But also AI is non-deterministic, right? So right. My existing courses, you're copying the code that I give you, but
right.
If I'm telling
yeah, you can't control the way you prompt something and someone else prompting something, right?
Yeah. And also it's just this stuff is all moving so goddamn fast. Like,
It is.
it takes me a long time to make a course, and like I don't want to create something that's going to be out of date immediately.
What do you think is going to happen? Like, do you think we're going to like agree on a process and a way to use agentic coding like soon, or do you think it's going to be this weird flow where people come up with new ways of doing things, but it's still constantly changing? Do you think we're going to see that for like quite a few years?
I don't want to predict anything confidently in the world of
Yeah.
AI. None of us have any idea what we're doing. If I had to guess, I think we're going to converge somewhat. Like right now, there is just so many different things. Like there's so many different models, harnesses. Like there's all kinds of new tools coming out, MCPs, and this is just because it's so new. None of us know what we're doing yet. We're all figuring it out. I think if you look at the way these kind of things have gone in the past, something new is invented. People spend a lot of time competing and figuring out where it's going. People invent new things and try new ideas, but like over time, some things just emerge dominant, and we might not get it down to like one true way of doing things. But we learn our lessons. Some things clearly work better than others, and I think AI will probably go that way. In that, I think things will converge on fewer ways and methodologies than there are now. But I mean, who knows? Really, I'm just trying to ride this wave like everybody else.
Yeah, same. And
it's early. It's really, really early.
And I think these kind of conversations are really important too, because like to hear how other people are using it, like helps you change your daily workflows, and like, or maybe not, maybe you're like, wow, I'm glad I don't do it that way. But like, I think we can all learn from it. Like the guys that I work with at Codex, we're always sharing like new ways of implementing AI into just working on features or tracking down sentry errors and things like that,
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the great things about Gauntlet. It's 3 weeks remote, 7 weeks in person. But just in a room all day, every day with smart people who are all trying to figure it out like you are. And everybody is trying different things. They've got a perspective that you don't. And everybody is just sharing what they've learned. And just such a fantastic environment. And now I'm contracting. I'm working with AI first team, where the philosophy is very much the Gauntlet mentality. We are doing everything we can to try and use AI as much as possible, and making a lot of mistakes along the way. But we're sharing those lessons and learning, because I think everyone is got the same mindset that I've already talked about, which is that like, we don't know where it's going. There's still a lot of uncertainty, but like it's just so obvious to me that well, I don't know how long it's going to take. Maybe it'll take 10 years, maybe it'll take 6 months, but like clearly, like AI is going to be doing much more than it is now. Like we've just got to get there. Like the person who gets there first is just going to absolutely crush the competition. So we can risk some mistakes along the way just for that speed advantage.
What are your feelings along like just giving access to your code base to just third parties, essentially, like all these like Claude, like Anthropic, and because a big conversation, like these graybeards that are really anti-AI, a lot of their reasoning is like, well, I'm not just going to give all my code and access to these companies to use it however they please.
Oh, great question. This is something I think about as well. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm doing it. So like,
same. And it's something I think about too, but
no matter what I say,
yeah.
Because there's two aspects to this, right? Because there's the sort of privacy angle, in that like I'm sending a lot of things off to some third-party server, which previously would just have been on my machine, and I'm not publishing it publicly, but I mean, there are reasons to be wary of that. The other side of it is just more security and permissions aspect, like if I'm just running Claude Code blindly and it's got access to a lot of things on my system. I mean, there are things built in. It'll ask you
like env files alone too, like a lot of keys and things. Like, do people think of like, are you always thinking about like not having a copy of your production keys in your code base locally? Like these are things that we have to be like really aware of, I feel like now.
Yeah, it's I mean, a month or two ago, there was just this unbelievable amount of hype about OpenClaw. I couldn't open Twitter without seeing 1,000 posts about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like immediately, and you know, OpenClaw is still big. People are still using it, but yeah, you know, there were just so many stories around of like people who didn't really know what they were doing, and yeah, less technical people who were, oh wow, this is cool, check it out, this AI can do anything, I'll just install it and run it. And then like just the
And it just
security
needs all, it
implications of what
just
people
needs
are doing.
these API keys.
Yeah, there was a blog post I read. It was some white hat guy. He like I haven't even used OpenClaw that much, but there you know, there's like skill repositories. You can just, anybody can upload a skill, and then your OpenClaw can download it. And yeah, some guy, it was one of the top rated skills. I think he even used some like hacky technique to just kind of artificially get it to the top, so a lot of people would download it. And yeah, it was a skill that just you downloaded it. I forget the exact details, but it just did something very insecure. You know, it just like pinged some public URL in a harmless way. But you know, if that had been a black hat guy, then yeah, he was doing it out of charity. You know, you pinged this, and then it would send a message back saying, "Hey, you shouldn't have downloaded this skill. You know, you just gave me access to everything. If I'd wanted to, I could have stolen all your data." And yeah, he got like a lot of people. Yeah, I think this is
I heard a lot. Like I have like glanced at OpenClaw. I have not really played around with it, but they have like a marketplace for skills, essentially, right?
Yeah.
And
I
there's a ton,
I downloaded
like,
it when everybody was talking about it. Yeah.
and like there's like 30% of them are like malicious and dangerous or something. Maybe it's not that high, but it was a pretty big number.
Yeah, I can believe it. I mean, to answer your earlier question, I don't know how we're gonna solve this. It's a huge problem. I mean, you see it in vibe coding as well. Like we've been talking about the risks of you know, building things without a great understanding of what you're building, and that's, you know, something I've seen. Like that's a real danger. Like security is difficult, and security requires a lot of knowledge. Security breaches happen a lot of the time because you don't know what you don't know, because you don't have that experience. There's just a lot of things that are non-obvious. If you're a totally new programmer and no one has ever told you that, like I don't know, like and no one has told you, oh no, you shouldn't output you shouldn't render untrusted user input on your page because that exposes you to XSS. Like you got to sanitize the HTML. You know, that's the kind of the thing where like yeah, that's an important security concern, and you've got to be wary of it. But like, if no one's ever told you that, you don't know. And yeah, it would be very easy to just build something and you think, oh yeah, it works, and it never occurs to you that there's a problem with this. Yeah, you see this in things like just architectural choices, setting things up where like you don't have the right auth, beginners mistakes, just like everything looks like it works, but you know, just things aren't authenticated correctly. Maybe the backend is sending more data than it should. You're exposing PII, that kind of thing. These are just really easy mistakes to make when you're new.
Dude, I remember
like, AI makes that super dangerous, and I don't know what the solution is. I think it comes back to what I said about new paradigms. Like we've got to invent just like new ways of architecting things, new ways of working that weren't necessary before. But because the old way it doesn't gel perfectly with these new tools.
Yeah, and like it's like, yeah, we learned before AI, right? Through mistakes a lot of times, and like I didn't know like how dangerous like man in the middle attacks were until I experienced one myself, or like giving too much data in a RESTful API response and like just allowing things to be manipulated. And you don't really learn these things. And yeah, now if any of this stuff just gets thrown into your code base and you don't even know it's there, it could be a problem.
Yeah, I think we'll figure it out in the end. Everybody's got different risk profiles. You know, if you're working for a bank or something where you've got super high, you know, not all security incidents are equal. You know, the cost of some companies and some industries, just the cost of failure is far higher, and so there's just a lot more incentive to be cautious. And so I can totally understand why those guys are slow walking AI. I mean that. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's just the Wild West right now, and things will settle down.
Yeah, I think the industry will probably advance one disaster at a time.
I mean, that's the best way to learn, right? You need the mistakes to happen, and then everyone adjusts.
Yeah, you know what I said about new paradigms, right? It's like computers used to be ugly. Like computers used to be beige boxes, and like no one ever questioned it. And you know, it was Apple and Steve Jobs and the iPhone. Steve Jobs came along and said, you know, it doesn't have to be like this. Why can't your phone be sleek and beautiful, and your laptop as well? And it's one of those things. It seems so obvious in retrospect. It's like, why didn't anyone think of that? Of course, you know, of course, computers should be aesthetic as well as functional. But yeah, you know, Steve Jobs was a visionary in that way. And yeah, I think it's going to be like that with vibe coding, not vibe coding, just agentic engineering and AI. Those people are going to come along and they're going to say, hey, why don't we do it in this new way that actually solves those problems with security or whatnot? And you're going to sit down in front of it and you're going to think like, damn, this is so much better. Like, why didn't we all see this? But yeah, I think that's often how these things advance.
Yeah.
And I make no claim of being that visionary. That's I can dream.
Hey, look, I have always said I'm smart enough to use smart people's tech, right? And that's about it. Like, I don't think I'll just keep talking to people that create really cool things on my podcast, and and then I'll use them and I'll build cool products, and that's as smart as I get.
Yeah, this is a point I hear people make a lot, that you know, AI is so knowledgeable and is so smart, and you can ask it a question about anything, and yet like AI is actually, given how quote unquote smart it is, it's not as innovative as like you might expect. Like where are the like huge paradigm busting kind of advances in knowledge that, you know, where AI just kind of connected to things that hadn't been connected before?
We haven't seen that yet, have we?
Yeah, and you know, maybe that's just an artifact of how current AI works. In that it's not trying to invent new things. It's trying to predict. It's trying to predict the next token based on like the existing corpus of knowledge and everything it's seen. So you know, it's somewhat backwards looking.
It's just really good at pattern matching, essentially, right? Like, or pattern recognition.
Yeah. I was thinking of that because I was wondering why isn't AI that visionary? Maybe AI can solve the problems with AI. I don't know. Someone much smarter than me at OpenAI.
I've seen some cool things like in medical, right, where it can like look at like DNA and things like that and find patterns in, like, you know, in billions and billions of data points. But at the same time, it's just looking through that data quicker than a human could, right? So it's not actually discovering things, it's just finding patterns faster than a human can.
Yeah, well, I guess like connecting to a lot of discovery and invention, it's not something that's wildly beyond what we already know. It's often just like connecting to disparate things that
yeah, that's true,
have not been connected before.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll be seeing more of that soon. That would be cool, right?
Yeah, I'm sure someone much smarter than me at Anthropic or something like that is working on that.
Probably. Where's Thomas Millo at? But yeah, this has been a lot of fun, man. I think we can wrap it up. We've been chatting for an hour and a half. Do you have any advice for people out there that might be hesitant to use AI or agentic workflows in their current day-to-day, or anything for maybe even like junior developers? Like, any advice there on how to accelerate your career?
Ask a lot of questions. Be as curious as you can force yourself to be. Like try and understand every last little thing that you can. If there's ever anything you're not sure about, why does this code do this? What does that tool do? What's the best way here? Ask the AI, and just, you've got to use your own judgment, but at the same time, like, AI is a great tutor. And I guess the other thing I would say is, like, I understand the skepticism. I was there myself for a long time, but I think part of it is you've just got to push through. If you're experienced, it might slow you down at first, but try something new. Try and build something. I don't know, a side project, something that even if you're experienced, maybe just something that's just a totally different stack, or some kind of app that is very far outside what you do know, and just see how far AI can take you. Just say, okay, well, I will try and build this thing entirely with AI, and just not use my old habits. I'll force myself to just do it all with AI. And then even if you don't end up building something fantastic, like, you're going to learn so much along the way that just put the time in. You got to put in the reps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And the best way to learn is building your own thing, not following tutorials. And I mean, take that tutorial knowledge, apply it to your own project.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, George. And everyone that has tuned in, thank you so much, and have a good weekend, guys.
Testing.